Hello, I'm Mijail Gutierrez, Design Director for Interiors at Perkins Will London. And today I'm delighted to be presented with our client representative, Clotilde Entrecanales, CEO of Acciona Culture. Acciona is a global leader in sustainable and regenerative solutions operating in more than 40 countries with over 68,000 employees. This new city center campus in Madrid combines workplace with leisure, sport, and culture through a museum and a gallery and libraries, all designed to foster collaboration, regeneration, and the preservation of corporate knowledge. Our scope comprises the fit-out of 3 workspaces, 2 repurposed structures, and a new building. Our design vision embodies Perkins Will's approach to regenerative design and aligns with Acciona's approach to sustainable practices. With a narrative rooted in the natural elements that sustain and unite everyone on the planet, all living things: air, water, light, and shadows. The interior architecture is defined by a series of key interventions. Grand planes are connected with active destinations, encouraging movement across the campus and creating a sense of community. In Building 9, a central grand staircase and an internal gallery connects 2 levels of the campus. Zenithal light and vertical connections animate their working floors. On Building 6, an internal gallery connects 2 sides of the campus and celebrates Acciona's heritage. Vertical planes articulate the complex internal volumes, and a rooftop courtyard brings nature into the workplace. In the new building, a tower of knowledge connects all floors vertically, and landscape cascading terraces articulates the complex central volume of the building. The design embodies Acciona's elegant engineering and their commitment to building better. Our rigorous design gestures avoid a decorative approach. We embrace the architecture with honesty, and we layer it with materials from a local source, which are beautiful and express the ethereal nature of our concept. A hierarchy of materials define whether materials are signifiers or companions, and that allow us to deploy the materials throughout the scheme. I will hand over now to Clotilde, who is going to talk about the impact of design and talent in the campus.
Thank you, Mijail. Hello, everybody. I'm not an architect, but I come today as the client and or as a representation of a client and the user of these spaces. And I come today to talk to you about how this project has become very quickly not only the beating heart of our company, which is pretty global, in Madrid, but also has come to shape and transform how we work, how we live, how we relate to one another in Acciona, and how we embody our company values and we envision our future. When we engaged Mijail and his team, we had a clear ambition. We wanted to redefine our workplace and shape our future and our culture. And since the campus opened, we've seen measurable impact that actually tells us that we might have succeeded. Staff rotation has decreased by 2%. We've also seen a renewed desire to work on site, which reduces remote work and brings back the power of in-site collaboration. It has become a true magnet for talent as well. Applications have grown by more than 70%. Beyond attracting talent, the campus has transformed our daily habits as employees and users from how we work and also how we live. We've implemented a paperless policy and created a digital workplace supported by a global app that keeps us all united as an ecosystem and connected to the campus's daily activities. Secondly, we have noticed a shift towards more movement and healthier living. People walk between buildings, take the stairs, they engage in sporting activities, they exercise, they run on the running track in the campus. This active culture is reinforced by our daily menus curated by nutritionists, by fresh fruit across the campus, and health campaigns that have actually led to measurable impacts in reductions of obesity and smoking. The campus is not only a living showcase of Acciona's purpose, it also tells a story. We have a museum and a library that holds 9,000 books, 100,000 photographs, 200 artifacts, and 150 hours of employee testimonies, and that trace the company's journey from a family business founded in the wake of the Spanish Civil War 100 years ago to a global corporation. As a result, employees report a stronger sense of belonging and a deeper connection to Acciona's purpose. And finally, the impact of our new campus has also gone beyond our walls. The campus has become an open space hosting cultural events, exhibitions, forums. Universities such as Yale and MIT have visited, and many students who have come here later apply to work with us. In the end, the greatest success of this project is not the buildings themselves, but the life of the 3,000 people that are actually living within it and working. The campus has given our people a place to grow. It has given our company a symbol of what we stand for and our future a clear direction. And with that, I will hand over to Michael to continue the journey through the campus. Thank you.
Thank you, Clotilde. Light is central to our palette, with white surfaces becoming blank canvases for the play of light and shadows. Zenithal light goes into previously deep floor plates, bringing wellness into the environment. Collaboration spaces are bright and enjoy views to the amazing surrounding landscape. White surfaces and reflective surfaces bounce the light across interiors, increasing the sense of depth. And throughout the campus, daylight creates a cinematic rhythm that marks the passing of time and celebrates the architecture. Craft is present both in the details and in the material selection. We created complex modeling to express connections between different elements of the design. For instance, this bar is a reference to the traditional tapas bars of Madrid. It sweeps across the space, inviting for collaboration. And the bar in turn turns into this spiral staircase, creating a sculptural moment within the design. Beautiful local nogal wood brings texture as well as scent to the space, creating a sensorial memory into the experience. We collaborated with Acciona in creating elements that will bring innovation into the campus. This 3D printed concrete structure welcomes visitors to the innovation suite. In here, the ceiling expresses the creative nature of learning. A gradient of green celebrates the local context and adds depth. Large-scale ceiling fans, inspired by wind turbines, articulate the central hall of Building 9. And the innovation team's workspace, we celebrated the rawness of their experimental work and of the company through the architecture of the space. Nature is around the campus, is the backdrop of interiors, with spaces extended into shaded areas for collaboration, connection, and coming together. Collaboration is present everywhere with technology supporting this. The interior palette extends into the outdoors to create continuity and blurring the boundaries. And a reflected pool mirroring the changing sky, celebrates water as one of the elements of life. Views to the outdoor as frame, celebrating and causing moments of pause and reflection. Acciona's vast knowledge is present at the heart of the campus. Our Tower of Knowledge unifies a series of library spaces vertically, creating a destination for learning and the preservation of heritage. From the outset, we explore the alignment both in architecture and joinery. At night, these rich timber libraries become a lantern, a beacon of innovation and discovery. This campus is a true labor of love. From the start, the powerful vision of our client, Macarena Carrion, and her team guided our rigorous co-creative process. Together, we pursued excellence through composition and the power of quiet architecture. This is more than a workplace. It's a place of belonging, of pride, and of purpose. And I'm deeply humbled to have been part of such a transformative project. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Looks like a delightful place to work. Very calm, but surprising in subtle ways. Are you responsible only for the interiors, or you didn't do the building, the main building?
Just the interior, but we work closely with the base build architects.
But the interiors look better than the building.
Thank you.
So you've done a great service to the architects. And I think that's something that in this category, we're interested to see how interiors somehow can fight back from that second position that it's always put in relation to architecture. The only question I've got really is, isn't there a limit to the world of white? Sorry.
I think we were very keen to create a canvas for both the landscape and reflection. And once you're in the space, the quality of light reflected from the outside brings a color dimension that is quite difficult to capture on photography. And there is constant connection to the outside because our planning emphasizes views out. So there is a space for the eyes to rest and to enjoy a very peaceful surrounding. We feel that...
But you wouldn't have been tempted to put a very intense artwork inside? There doesn't seem to be any art around.
There is art. There's some art installations produced by Acciona's own cultural division. And
well, maybe they should have allowed something that they didn't make inside.
I will jump in there to say, sorry, Mikhail, that there is some art. I think in one of the pictures, I don't know if we can go. Can we go to the presentation? I don't know, but there is. You can see it. There's actually a sculpture that I can't, but there's a sculpture that you might have seen that's actually by an...
Can you take us back, please, guys? Well,
So I'll just jump, yeah. So I was personally involved in the art of the campus. So we had two strategies there. One of them was to use photographs of the company's heritage and history, and you might have seen that.
The spiral looked like a spiral staircase seen in a print.
That comes from a photograph from the 50s, from a building that we did. And we tried to create artistic productions of these to integrate it in the architecture, right? So that was one of our I'm going to get there one day. That was one of our strategies. And then the second was to commission in very special places, I think it's here, no, artworks to contemporary artists, young artists. The one that I will arrive to soon is a contemporary Spanish artist that actually works, oh, there we go, I think. Well, you see it on the left, it's not a very good picture of it. This is the photograph that I was talking about. So it's actually a photograph that we cut into various pieces, but it's a whole spiral, staircase. And the other part that I mentioned was, I don't think there's a good picture of it now, but it's actually a sculpture of an artist that takes from the ground, takes stones of the ground of the whole kind of geological print of the ground. And we thought, and he creates installations with that, and we wanted to bring artwork that actually related to the company's activity, and we're an infrastructure company. So we did involve artists in that making, and there's several other examples, but it is very subtle, I have to say.
Yes, it could have been less subtle. But anyway, Mike.
Yeah. Thanks very much. I think this whole issue about getting people back into the office is critical. I mean, we do quite a lot of office work, and I can see why people would come back to this, because it looks like a good place to work. One thing you talked about, or mentioned, I should say, at the beginning was regenerative design being at the heart of this, and I don't think you described how that happens, or what you mean by that.
Well, we try to make the site better than it was when we joined with the project. So we recycle furniture. 80% of the furniture is recycled. We use materials that reflect natural daylight, so we reduce the consumption of artificial lighting within the space. We collaborated with the landscape architect, so to bring outdoor spaces for working and bring more greenery into the workplace. So we set up the structure and the strategies that the interior scope allowed to make the space better than it was when we started working on it. That was our strategy.
Thank you. It's great to finally have a client here. So, what has Miguel? What have you wanted to do? And you say absolutely not. That's first question. The second one is, I think you tick all the boxes of what a good company should have in terms of design. However, I have a little bit more difficult time to feel the brand of Acciona. So I quickly did a research. So renewable energy, infrastructure, and water. And then you have these keywords that keep popping up. You know, I'm assuming these keywords are related back to the brand and the brand identity you want to create inside, but I'm not sure. So maybe I feel like, you know, you can slip any other company name here and it will still be great. So I want to talk. I wanted to hear your thoughts on this about brand recognition and brand identity in corporate spaces. Thank you.
Yep. Well, this commission was won on a design competition. And from the beginning, we came with the idea of regenerative design and celebrating the elements that unite all living things. And there was an alignment there with Acciona's own approach to sustainable design and building better. So we found that to be the common ground for our design, and all the strategies that we implemented were supporting that alignment. That's one of the things.
Yes, I think that I might add that it is perhaps you go into a website and you see a red website where a logo is red, right? But we were very, talking about white, we were very keen to avoid the red. And it's that is our particular brand strategy in everything we do. If you navigate through our LinkedIn, if you navigate through our Instagram, we are very subtle about marketing. We believe in honest work. We believe in excellence. We worked for 100 years in our sector. We're a listed company, but family-owned. And we believe that our marketing should speak through our business, through our projects. We don't like, we don't like extra wow effect in our marketing. So we wanted our Acciona logo, and you might have seen it there in the wooden, honest material. We didn't want the red to be kind of our beacon, right? I think that was perhaps one of our biggest design approaches. We wanted the materials and the company and the business to speak by itself, and to really embody, and the campus to embody those subtle, but I think solid values that the company has. So yeah, I think that perhaps as a employee and as a Acciona user and as part of the company, I think that it really does embody our values a lot. And as Mikhail mentioned, our biggest purpose is sustainability, right? So the green side of this, the social side of this, people is at the center of everything we do. We work in renewable energy, we work in culture, we work in facility services, we manage hospitals, we do water services, we do metro, we're working in Sao Paulo metro, we do infrastructure that facilitates people's lives. That's what we say as a company. So creating something that embodies that, as you begin to walk through that, feels like it's done for the people, is important. And that also maintains the green. We conserved 1,000 trees that were originally there. We didn't plant these, they were there. So we managed to do the whole construction without touching any of them. So that thing that is behind the scenes was part of the project as well. And I think Perkinson will really manage to really keep it in their project as well.
So anything you wanted and they said no?
I think there was great alignment for the beginning of the project. The process of this project was very intensive. There was a lot of collaboration with the client. There was regular meetings, the sharing of ideas, and really open discussions. And I think from the beginning, since we got the commission, we managed to be very much aligned. We probably would have liked to sort of incorporate, do another building, perhaps. But we couldn't do it, and that might come in the future. But I think that the opportunity of collaborating with their own engineering team and the innovation team was quite unique.
Yeah, just a quick question. No, but building up on what Johnny said, you started by saying it's a campus and it has a diversity of buildings, and I guess each buildings correspond to one branch of Acciona, because you have, as you said, energy, transport, culture, and different activities. Is there any moment where you wanted those activities to be more, or to appear as incarnated within the interior design? Because the only reference you've ever made to anything that has to do with the activities that are the ones of Acciona is the fans that you said yourself were inspired by windmills and turbines. So would you today retrospectively want, or was it a choice from your client side, not to distinguish any of these buildings and any of these activities to be acknowledgeable or recognizable in one way or the other through the design interior? Because it's true, we've seen many photos, but we don't know to which building they belonged. We have no idea of the journey you took us through. It was more like glimpses of moments or different parts. And I was wondering how the journey, as you spoke also about the landscape, connected, or what is the journey from one building to another, from one activity to the other, which is maybe a bit different from in culture, even though it's all under the hat of Acciona Group.
Each building has a unique destination. So one building is dedicated to water, so you see a water on the atrium space. Another one is about energy, so you see the fans onto that. There are key moments, but we didn't want to define each building as unique because the business is growing, the culture changes. So we design with adaptability and change in mind also. So teams could flex as well as the brand could evolve. So that was our approach.
So that was from the client side, clearly.
Yes, from the client side.
Understood.
And from our side, we didn't want to create a silver, gold, bronze approach to the campus. We wanted the same experience to flow from one building to another and highlight key elements of the brand through the architecture, but generally anyone could walk into any of the buildings and feel that they're part of the campus. That was our approach.
I have a really quick question, which is just about the interiors. A lot of the surfaces and finishes are very reflective, and for many people that gives a sense of lightness and calm, but for other people they're not so comfortable with those finishes, makes them feel anxious, exposed. How did you deal with that? How do you deal with that for that? You talk about this as a very social space, trying to get people back to work, but not everybody feels comfortable in reflective, exposed spaces.
We've shown part of the project. There are elements that felt more secluded and small, and that was one of our considerations when we were designing. There is high acoustic treatment on the soffits to reduce the reverberation. There is control of light. There's some outdoor shading that, if it's a very bright day outside, the building automatically reduces and filters the lights to create a more comfortable environment. But generally, we wanted to create a space that was inclusive for everyone. And I think we achieved that. And the feedback that we have received from our client, and when we go and visit the campus, is that this feels very calm and very inclusive. So people feel that they can work there and they are really connected with nature, especially the views that they see from their workspace into the local context.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any dress code for the people who work there?
There isn't, no.
I have to say that Acciona is a very, the kind of people that work in every different business is very everyone is a bit heterogeneous, let's say. So we have the culture, artsy area that everyone is wearing very diverse things. And then we have suits in the energy side, or we even have a banking company that are very smart, right? But this kind of let's say multiplicity of manners and of lives, and young versus not so young, and this is the richness of Acciona. And I think the glass, the outdoor spaces, and the fact that we're not defined business by building, let's say, talking about Adrian's question, we're a bit mixed. I think that was the whole point of this, that we felt like a united family in a bit cringe way, but family and not like a set of businesses that you might sell off at one point, right? That long-term vision and that idea of we're all moving for one purpose was also a value that we wanted the campus to embody. And I think that was why we don't differentiate each one. We managed to keep that richness, and there is no dress code, I think.
Just one question. Is it on that campus that you're holding the next Acciona next?
Next in, yes. So we host every year we host a event, a conference, 400 people. We do it in Acciona Culture, our museum company. In the campus, we have 400 people, 50 speakers for 2 days, coming from everywhere in the world. We had Sir David Chipperfield speaking this year. We had director of the MoMA. So it's a mix of architecture and museums and immersive exhibitions coming together in a conference. And it's incredible to see how we have an auditorium and everyone comes together, and then there's everyone literally populates the exterior spaces, and we eat outside. It's in April, Madrid, it's pretty. And so the campus is like buzzing with architecture and culture vibe, which is incredible. And we do these things quite often. And we're pitching for the World Architecture Festival 2028. Oh, we'd love to have you. No, I'm joking, but I'm not. I would love to have you, and we have events. But yes, we have that, and I think it's a beautiful place. And everyone leaves the conference feeling, I think, very inspired by the spaces and by the architecture.
Landscape.
And by the landscape.
Thank you.